And now with the 3rd and 4th overall picks, I actually have a special guest on the show. Resident 49ers and Atlanta Falcons insider and relative Matt McGlinchy. Welcome to the show. Roll the applause. So if you don't know Matt, he is the brother of 49ers right tackle Mike McGlinchy. He's a good friend of mine, and we like to talk football with each other. He gives me a lot of insight into what's going on with the 49ers and Falcons organizations. Oh, I should also mention, he's also the cousin of Matt Ryan, quarterback
you don't need to mention all
of the
this.
Atlanta Falcons.
On, buddy.
But, he's got familial ties to both of these teams, so he's heavily invested, knows a lot about the organization, and I trust his 2 cents on what each NFL team is going to do in the draft. So, Matt, I got to ask you, at number 3, who's San Francisco taking? What do you got?
Well, I mean, to be completely honest, Dom, I think that a lot of the 49ers' intentions have been very tight-lipped.
All right.
They haven't said a whole lot about who they're taking. They normally don't do this, Speaking from experience, Mike's pick kind of came out of nowhere to us. The 49ers hadn't really, shown the interest of the level of like a team like, just off the top of my head, the Raiders were really, I think, enamored with the possibility of taking Mike. That's why they traded down, got Colton Miller. So, I've read that the 49ers were originally going to offer one of their first-round selections for Sam Darnold. So that tells us that this team is extremely QB hungry.
Yeah, I would assume.
From a purely analyst perspective, not just my opinion on the matters, because my bias, if you want to call it that. This team may have been looking to get rid of Jimmy for a while.
You think since the Super Bowl loss?
Maybe not since the Super Bowl loss, but since this year was going to be another lost season for him with all the injuries and the missed games and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that they were a bit shaky. Their confidence obviously shaken from having maybe legitimately one full good season of Jimmy GQ.
Yeah.
And, obviously we've also heard a lot of stuff about the 49ers potentially wanting Mac Jones.
Yes. From Mel Kiper, man.
From
the father,
from good old Kiper.
The godfather of the mock draft.
Yeah. Godfather of terrible sports takes you would know a lot about.
Yeah.
But I just want to make one thing very clear, that while I do believe that Mac Jones could succeed, especially in a system like Kyle's, and that multiple members of the team, I can't really name anybody on the top of my head, but multiple members of the team have stated that they will support the QB decision no matter who it is, whether it's Jimmy, whether it's a free agent signing, whether it's potentially one of the backups if somebody gets hurt again, whether it's somebody that they draft at the number 3 overall pick. And, a lot of people have said that, maybe the 49ers need some wide receiver help or whatever, but it just seems like they gambled a lot of their future long term to move up to this pick.
Look, you don't trade.
Yeah, you don't trade first round picks.
2 future first rounders in a third.
And draft a wide receiver at 3.
Or tight end. You don't do it. So we know it's going to be a quarterback. So I guess the main question I want to ask you is what quarterback are they taking, man? You already know who they're taking, but
I completely agree with you. I think it should be Justin Fields.
It's
not necessarily going to be maybe the pick that the 49ers want. Maybe it's a smokescreen. We have no idea. They haven't said anything. They haven't given away any real clues. Even like someone like me, I don't know what the hell's going on. I doubt Mike does.
Now my reasoning for Justin Fields. So obviously, as a Niners fan, and it's again somebody who's invested in the team, you want Justin Fields at 3, but also from an outsider's perspective, you do not trade 2 future first rounders to get a guy of Mac Jones's talent. You're just replacing Jimmy G with healthy Jimmy
Exactly.
G.
That's exactly the point I was going to make. You're basically just replacing Jimmy G with a younger Jimmy G.
And you could have done that with maybe Kyle Trask later on in the second round. That I honestly feel that way.
And kept your draft capital.
Exactly, and kept all that, and then at 12 got
whatever. They seem, even though they haven't said anything, recent actions have made them seem kind of antsy to potentially move on from Jimmy G. The trade with Darnold fell through. The fact that there are members of the team who aren't necessarily coming to Garoppolo's defense anymore makes me believe that they are absolutely taking a QB, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should be Mac Jones. I think it needs to be someone with more athletic potential.
And somebody who can expand this offense.
Yes,
yeah.
Justin Fields
I agree.
is that player.
Awesome. And then we go to Atlanta. So now I think we will have a little controversy here because I don't think our picks are going to be exactly the same. But obviously at 4, so for those of you that don't know, I have Kyle Pitts going at 4 on my mock draft to Atlanta. I think every team in the NFL is going to call Atlanta's bluff. I don't think anyone's going to trade up with Atlanta because they know Atlanta, Cincinnati, and Miami are not interested in a quarterback. So I see Kyle Pitts as a talent you can't pass up at 4, and you get him there. But I know you may have a different philosophy on the take than I do.
I mean, it would certainly make sense. Obviously, I really like Hayden Hurst. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, when he came out of South Carolina, I thought he was very good. He was pretty good in the Ravens system as their primary
He was their first-round pick. Him and Mark Andrews.
He was a first-round pick with Mark Andrews. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And, I really appreciate him. I think he's got, an incredible story with his fight with depression and everything.
Yeah.
And he was serviceable, I think, as a tight end for the Falcons this year. Not that I didn't really pay attention to many Falcons games because they kind of stunk. But, obviously, like, I still, kept a close ear and an eye towards them because of Matt. And, well, I do sort of see why, obviously as good or as serviceable as Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst.
I'm an idiot.
Oh, God.
God almighty. Anyway, as serviceable as Hayden Hurst is, Pitts obviously expands that offense a lot more because he's a much more dynamic player.
He is. And you could play both of them at the same time. I mean, I use the example pretty frequently, but they could be on the field in sort of a Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz kind of scenario where, Kyle Pitts is the off-the-ball tight end, Hayden Hurst is on the ball, and you can run 12 personnel and, still have – and you're not missing a step at receiver because even
there's someone with so much athletic talent.
Exactly.
But –
and size.
You could play around with this pick. Obviously, the Falcons do seem, like Dom said, that they are settled on a QB situation right now.
Yeah.
But you also have to think, it seems like even though they may rely on these old standards of the offense, your Matt Ryans, your Julio Jones, Todd Gurley's sort of washed, honestly. He didn't have a terrible season, but it also was not up to his...
He's great. He's great if he's the second best running back on your team. That'll be my philosophy on Todd Gurley.
There's a lot of old guard there, not just from their Super Bowl run, from previous Super Bowl runs on previous teams, and I think that sort of core, that championship window has sealed shut, and that's at least for them in Atlanta, because Atlanta's a team that needs to sort of get younger, and needs to sort of rebuild from this Dan Quinn choke fest.
Yeah, sadly.
Which could suggest that they take a quarterback top 4 to ensure their future because this is a very deep quarterback class. I personally think that could be the case. I think that they could draft Trey Lance.
So you think Mac Jones would be off the table if he's there at 4? Like, if it was between Trey Lance and Mac Jones, you think?
I mean, it could be either or. It could be either or for me. I really don't have too much of a preference at this pick because I was still messing around with it in my mind because it just feels like the Falcons right now in the position that they're in are a very hard team to gauge.
Well, I think they want to trade down. I think all of this smoke and mirrors about them getting a quarterback is because they want somebody. They want to receive the similar compensation to what San Fran received, and they'll
for the Mitch Trubisky pick. Yep.
For the number 3 that Miami received from San Fran for the 3rd overall pick.
San Fran did the same thing to the Bears a couple years ago during the Myles Garrett, Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom's draft.
So they're trying to squeeze out
that draft
what they can get out of the draft.
Those picks didn't work out for either team. God bless you, Solly. I love you, man. But that kind of stinks that they're both not on the teams anymore.
Yeah. And Solomon Thomas was all right, but when you compare him to the rest of that D line, I mean, he's a fringe starter compared to the talent you guys have.
Solid.
Also, I gotta say, I'm just gonna throw this in there. The San Fran signing Samson Ebukam was phenomenal. By the way, I'm on a hangover from that pick. I love it so much.
They also drafted, they also took Nate Gary up in free agency. I'm pretty sure
they did. They did take Nate Gary, which I didn't like, but. But anyway, yeah, so I have Kyle Pitts going at 4. I think that the rest of the NFL will call Atlanta's bluff when it comes to the 4th overall pick. I think also Arthur Smith, who was offensive coordinator with the Titans, is so used to having athletic tight ends because he had Jonnu Smith and Ferkser for like the past 2 years in that offense.
How long was the OC at Tennessee?
Since Vrabel's been there, so I think it's been 2 years, 2 or 3
I guess
years.
they wouldn't have had Delaney Walker then.
They might have. They might have had him for like his first year, but
he would have been old as hell by then.
Yeah, he's still old. But I think Arthur Smith knows how to use the tight end position in very versatile ways. And I don't see why he wouldn't be chomping at the bit to get a guy like Kyle Pitts on the roster. So yeah, I got Kyle Pitts going at 4. Matt, I appreciate your insight on San Fran and Atlanta's picks. Thank you for all of your research and stuff.
Let's hope this doesn't blow up and I don't get credible for slander on this.